the hell is this shit? A year and a half of basically complete silence for this? Okay, let me not try and get ahead of myself here. Offense number 1. Who the hell are these people? Where's Creeper? Where's Spacey? Where's Justin710? And don't even get me fucking started on offense 2. What an actual fuck is a Risk of Rain 2? I wanted Fortnite. I'm not watching this shit. I don't even know what the fuck they're playing. Who gives a single shit about this game? If only there was some sort of informational type video that explained everything I need to know to be able to understand this shithole. Yeah, sure. That's a good enough transition. So that trailer posted 5 minutes ago sure was something, wasn't it? But you may be wondering to yourself right now, what exactly is Risk of Rain 2? How am I going to enjoy this season if I have no clue what's happening literally ever? Well, wonder no more, folks, as this short informational video will hopefully answer all your questions and allow you to actually be able to watch the season I've been dedicating my life to for far longer than any sane man should. But first, answer me this. Why in God's name would my dumbass be explaining all of this? I've already talked too much by this point, and you all are probably annoyed by my very presence anyways, so I'm just going to lend the reins over to the one and only David, the person who actually came up with the idea for this season many millennia ago, I think. Take it away, David.
Alright, hold your applause, people. Being a master gaming warlord in all games, and in combination with the playtime of over 200 hours, Nathan has felt that I am the most qualified to give this explanation for you all. So, without any more stalling, let's get straight to the point here. So, sit down, grab some popcorn, and let's get this show on the road. Oh, and obviously, you can skip this video if you already know a lot about Risk of Rain 2, or just don't give a shit and want to go in blind. Either works fine for me. Okay, for real now, here we go. So to start, let's go over the very basics. Risk of Rain 2 is a third-person roguelike shooter game developed by Hopo Games, released in 2019 to critical acclaim. And, like you could have guessed, the game is a sequel to the 2D roguelike shooter Risk of Rain 1, or just Risk of Rain. Before starting a game, there are 3 things you need to pick, starting with who you're going to play as. You only start with 2 unlocked, but in total there are 13 playable characters, with varying base statistics between them. Out on the field, you have various tools at your disposal to help you survive. First, your standard and secondary attacks can be used by pressing mouse 1 or mouse 2. Then, each character has a utility and special ability that has varying functions across characters. Every character's special abilities are all different, and that's essentially the reason for choosing different characters, as they each have a completely unique playstyle. Next comes choosing a difficulty, of which there are 3 main ones. Drizzle being the easiest, Rainstorm being the default difficulty, and Monsoon being the hardest. Main differences between these 3 are less health regeneration the more difficult you go, and a faster scaling difficulty, which we'll get into what that means shortly. In this season, we'll be playing on Rainstorm, because if we were playing on Monsoon, we'd all be dead in under 2 episodes. This game is fucking brutal sometimes. And the final thing to choose, artifacts. These are unlockable modifiers you can add to the game if you want, which can alter gameplay effects in a huge array of ways. Some may make the game easier, and some may make the game a fucking nightmare. Enabling friendly fire, making it so each enemy spawns as the strongest versions of themselves, spawning an evil mirror version of yourself that attacks every 10 minutes. Those are just some of the many in the game, and who knows? This season may or may not be implementing a couple. Now having chosen a setup, let's actually get into the gameplay itself. The basic gameplay of Risk of Rain 2 consists of running around different open world stages, defeating enemies scattered throughout, and using money gained from killing said enemies to purchase treasure chests and other types of unlockables. These chests can contain a plethora of items, which, once collected, will permanently buff your character depending on the item. And just because you get a certain item from a chest, doesn't mean you can't get it again. All items in the game can have their effects infinitely stacked, which, if done correctly, can lead to absolutely broken builds. Additionally, there are also special items that act as an ultimate ability, allowing you to perform a variety of special moves. And no matter what, all of these items will appear at the top of your screen for your viewing pleasure, along with the health in the bottom left, notifications just above, money in the top left, and difficulty in the top right. But if you've been paying attention, you may be noticing just a bit more than the difficulty in the top right. The stage number you're currently on, time the game has lasted for, and the scaling difficulty slider also reside in the top right of the screen, along with your objectives to complete at any given time being just below. And to finally explain what this scaling difficulty even means, basically, the longer you play, the slider slowly moves to the right, causing enemies to become stronger and more plentiful. The game also never stops getting harder, so the longer we play, the more difficult it is for us to beat the game, so it's in our best interest to do it quickly. Once you feel you've frolicked for long enough and all of the chests have been looted, you already know what time it is. It's boss time. Activated through an altar known as the teleporter, that spawns in a random place throughout the stage. There are many different types of bosses to fight on each stage, which are selected at random. Bosses are, obviously, a lot stronger than your average enemy, so things might get a little tough from here to there. But once defeated, you're not done yet. The teleporter isn't only used to summon the boss. No, it is also, under most circumstances, the only way to progress the game. After killing the boss, by staying within a certain range around the teleporter, it'll slowly charge up over time. While waiting, you have to continue to fend off enemies. And finally, once it reaches 100%, activate it again, and you're out of there. There are a total of 5 stages per each loop, with each specific stage number having 2 different stages it can possibly be, aside from stage 5. There are also other smaller stages in between, but that's not too important right now. But what exactly is a loop, you may be asking? Well, you see, Stage 5 contains a special teleporter known as the Primordial Teleporter, which, once activated, normally takes you to the final boss of the game. However, if you interact with the edges of the teleporter, allowing them all to line up with each other like this, activating the teleporter will take you back to Stage 1, aka looping. Doing so still retains all of your progress you made thus far. However, looping also makes the game more challenging, adding stronger enemy variants and bosses. The game reads the stage as Stage 6, essentially making looping a simple continuation of the game. You can loop as many times as you want, but in this season, we'll only be looping once before going to the final boss stage, making for a total of 10 stages. Well, that is, if we even make it to that point. But, just in case we do, allow me to explain this final boss stage to you. This is the last thing I will go over, because if you want to know more, just go watch the damn season. This is also your one and only spoiler warning for the end of the game. Anyways, there's a multitude of floating islands around a massive tower, and throughout these islands, there are 4 pillars we need to activate before being able to make it up that tower. Each pillar spawns challenging enemies to fight, and they all have a different twist to them as well. And once they're all knocked down, it's time to ascend to the top and take on the final boss, Mithrix, the King of Nothing, whatever the hell that means. I won't be spoiling anything about how the fight itself works, but I will say one thing. See, I've been saying it's the final boss, and technically, yes, he is the final boss in most cases, but since we are just so quirky, as seen in the intro, after defeating Mithrix, we must make our way back to the spawn point of the final boss stage and pet a frog, which opens up a portal taking us to our real final boss, the Voidling. Easy, right? Okay, you can come back now, Nathan. I'm done.
Wow, what a good explanation, David. If hypothetically that was all read from some sort of script, I'd be giving huge props to the writer right now. Welp, that's that. I hope now that you've watched this informational video, you'll have a far better appreciation for the upcoming season, and overall, Risk of Rain 2 as a whole, because jokes aside, it is a magnificent game after all. And with that, I wish you all a happy watching Knife and Core after it's been gone for 577 days this upcoming Monday, and I'll see you guys then. And remember to subscribe! Oh boy, I've completely changed my mind now. After watching that masterfully crafted and exquisite video, I just can't wait for the season to come out. Oh man, Knifin is such a genius simply for just thinking of this video idea, and he deserves more subscribers than ants on Earth. Yeah, sure. That's a good enough ending.